Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And if you haven't seen the title or the thumbnail to this video yet, you're probably thinking, based off of the gun that's in my hand, I'm about to do a review on a Beretta 92 or an M9. But that's not the gun we're going to be taking to the range and shooting. Instead, we're going to be reviewing the Derya Melik. And this appears to be a pretty faithful copy or clone of the Beretta 92. It is made in Turkey. Now, I know some people are going to immediately say that's not going to be a good gun. But I have to tell you, I have reviewed quite a few Turkish guns in the past, and I think they actually know what they're doing. All of the guns that I have reviewed from that country have been pretty good quality and shot really well. So I'm really hoping this gun is going to shoot just as good as a real M9. They look exactly the same. They feel the same. They seem to function the same. So that's my expectations with this gun. Now, Derya is a company that I have never heard of before, but they contacted me a couple of months ago asking me to do this review. And I told them my terms. And my terms were, I get to do the video without any instruction from them, and they do not get to screen it before I release it. So I have to be honest with all of my viewers. And they said, that works for us. So they did send this for free. So it's important to note that because I always want to be upfront and honest with you, and you can decide if that affects any of my thoughts and opinions on this gun. Now, this firearm is like an old school 92, not like an A1, A3, or A4 variant. We don't have a pick rail out here in the front. The sights are not dovetailed. The slide is not milled out for an optic. So if you like old school 92s, this might be the pistol for you if you're on a budget. So, before we talk about all of this gun's features and specs and of course get it to the range, there's a few people I have to thank. First and foremost is the company Derya. They did send this for review, and I just want to be upfront with all of you. I also have to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters because through their monthly donations and support, they help keep the lights on around here, and I could not create this content without them. And if you want to join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month, there's a link in the description below, and you'll get to see all of these videos early. And as always, I have to give a huge shout out to my primary channel sponsor who provides all of the ammunition for these range reports and makes them financially feasible for me, my good friend Mark from Brownworks. And I know if you're interested in a pistol like this that's a Beretta clone, most likely you love the M9 platform or the 92 or the 96, and you have a few in your collection. And you might want to dress up your Berettas with a set of unique and custom grips. Well, the grip company you need to check out is Brownworks. Brownworks is a custom grip company making a wide variety of grips for a wide variety of firearms and of a wide variety of exotic woods and materials. But the Beretta 92 platform and all of the clones and variants are one of Mark's specialties. He can apply custom logos, custom engravings, custom textures, finish the grips in a wide variety of colors, create his own laminate woods, and even apply exotic materials like snakeskin and alligator skin to make the grips unique and one of a kind. Every set of grips he makes is made to order and in consultation with you. So I'm going to put a link to his website in the comments section below, as well as a coupon code for 10% off your first order. I'm going to ask you to go over there and check out everything he has to offer. And when you place your first order of a set of Brownworks custom grips, please tell Mark the Texas Gun Vault sent you. All right, so we have a lot to talk about when it comes to this pistol, and I do want to compare it side by side with a real Beretta M9 and see if the parts are even interchangeable. And then, of course, we're going to get it to the range. So let me go ahead and adjust the camera, and let's take a closer look at this Derya Melik. So let's take a closer look at the Derya Arms Melik. And I did some research and found out that Melik means king in Turkish. It has an Arabic root word, and its exact catalog number is the C401. They offer this gun in a number of different finishes and variants. This seems to be their basic one that I guess we'll call mil-spec. It is chambered in 9mm. It has a 4.9-inch chrome-lined barrel. Its overall length is 8.4 inches. It is 5.4 inches high. It weighs 33.5 ounces. It comes with one 17-round capacity magazine. The trigger in it is a standard double action, single action trigger with that safety and decocker, which is slide mounted. And so the next thing I want to do is compare it side by side with a real Beretta M9. And as you can see, these pistols look exactly the same. All of the features and dimensions of it are the same. I really do not see any differences. I am actually really impressed with how well they cloned it. So the next thing I actually want to test to see if we can take off the slide off of one pistol and put it on the other. I know that I have reviewed a Gearson M9 clone in the past, and it's my understanding that the rails on that pistol are not compatible with an actual Beretta, but I think this one is. So I do want to test that out. So let's take these two guns apart and see if the parts are compatible. So let's start off by field stripping the Beretta first. Of course, we'll drop the magazine and make sure there's no ammunition in it. Then visually inspect the chamber. Looks like we are good. We'll pull the slide back, lock it open, and then we will take the disassembly lever, pull it down, and take the slide off. There's our frame and our slide. Next thing we'll do is do the same thing to the Derya. Drop the magazine, safety check it, and then push the button through, and then take the slide off. And now let's take this slide and actually put it on a real Beretta frame, and let's see if it fits. So far, it seems to work. I don't see any problems, and actually it is not working. Okay, so there seems to be some dimensional changes here. Okay, now let's try it the other way. Let's take a Beretta slide and put it on the Derya frame, and that seems to go. So I can lock that back, close the lever, and it seems to work. Everything seems to function. Let me put a magazine in there, and it locks open. Let's double check that again with the Beretta frame and the Derya slide, and I'll make sure everything in the slide is assembled correctly. Everything looks like it's lined up. And now let's put it onto the Beretta, and it will not work. So that is really interesting. It only seems to go one way. So I would probably not recommend changing parts in slides. Maybe there are some internal parts in this gun that are also interchangeable, but the slide and the frame is not. So I just wanted to document that, and you guys can decide what that can mean for you if you're interested in this pistol. So now the next thing I do want to test out, of course, is the trigger. So let me go ahead and get out the Lyman trigger pull weight gauge, and let's test both the double and single action side of this Turkish pistol's trigger. So like always, before we test out the trigger in any pistol, once again, we will drop the magazine, visually inspect the chamber, make sure the gun is clear. And for this test, we're going to start off with the double action pull. So I will use the decocker, take it back off of safe. Let's clear any averages on the meter. And let's see what the double action pull is like. For our first pull, 8 pounds. Then we have 7 pounds, 14.8 ounces. And the reason I'm racking the slide after pulling the trigger each time, even though the hammer is down, I do want to simulate the gun cycling. And in case you do put on the safety and the decocker, it resets everything. So I want to get the same type of scenario for each pull. 8 pounds, 6.5 ounces. Eight pounds, 3.6 ounces. And finally, we have 8 pounds, 8.7 ounces, which gives us an average of 8 pounds, 3.5 ounces. For a double action trigger, that's actually not too bad. I have seen them lighter and seen them heavier, but for a duty gun, that's probably right where you would want it. So now let me go ahead and clear those averages out, and now let's test this gun in single action. So for our first pull, we have 2 pounds, 14.5 ounces. That's light. Three pounds, 2.4 ounces. 2 pounds, 15.9 ounces. 3 pounds, 1.5 ounces. 3 pounds, 2.5 ounces. And we'll do it once more. 3 pounds, 6.6 ounces, which gives us an average of 3 pounds, 1.9 ounces. So the single action side of this trigger is really light. So hopefully that's going to translate to an awesome shooting experience. So that's all the specs and features on this pistol and what the trigger measures at. So now let me go ahead and readjust the camera, and let's talk about all the things I like and don't like about it before taking it to the range. And as always, before going to the range with any pistol I have into the channel for review, I always like to share with you my thoughts on the things I like and don't like about it, and I always want to start with the positive first. And the first thing I love about this gun is that it's based off of the Beretta 92. It's honestly one of my favorite gun designs, and I shoot them so well. I really feel like it's a great pistol. So hopefully they copied and cloned everything correctly. Obviously there's something different about the internal slightly because we can't interchange the slides and the frames from each pistol. It only goes in one direction. But is that going to change the shootability of the gun? I really don't think so. The other thing about the Beretta 92 that I love is the locking system. It doesn't use the Browning tilting barreled action. It has a little locking block or a dropping block that drops into the frame, and that's borrowed from the Walther P38. And I've always felt that the recoil impulse of the 92 comes back into your hand versus letting the gun flip up. It just feels smoother to me. Now, what about this pistol don't I like? Well, honestly, nothing. As it sits here on the workbench, it seems to be great. It's like a Beretta 92. So anything you wouldn't like about a Beretta, you're probably not going to like about this gun. And everything you like about a Beretta, you're going to like about this gun. So the only thing we have left to do is go to the range and see how it performs. So let's do that. We're going to start off with the target at 7 yards, put my first magazine through this gun. I want to see, number one, does it function? I want to test its accuracy and just make sure it feels like a Beretta. So let's go to the range and see how this pistol performs. And the gun seems to shoot great. It feels good in my hand, the pistol is well balanced, and it seems to be very accurate. But yes, there was one issue. You might have noticed when I had the factory magazine loaded to full capacity and the slide was locked back, when I inserted it, the slide went home. Now, I cannot duplicate that here in the garage with an empty magazine, but it seems like anytime the magazine is loaded beyond 15 rounds, it will do that. Now, I brought a couple of other magazines to the range, including a factory Beretta 18-round magazine. So in the next test, we're going to see if we have the same problem. So I'm going to load up the 18-round magazine and try it again. And also, I'm going to double the distance of this target. I want to make sure the gun continues to perform great and is just as accurate. So let's go back to the range and see what happens if we change magazines. And this time we had a completely different issue. It did not want to pick off that first round out of a fully loaded 18-round magazine. So what's causing that? But once the gun is loaded, it seems to run fine. I would have to say it has great duty accuracy, and I'm having no function issues with it. But we are having magazine issues. So I just wanted to document my experiences. So you can tell me what you think the problem might be. Is it the slide stop? Is it the magazines? Is it something else? Let me know. But so far, the gun seems to be pretty accurate. So the next test I'm going to do, of course, is set up the target at 25 yards. And I'm going to shoot this pistol from the bench and from a rest. And of course, taking as much of the human element out of the equation as possible, I want to see what the best group I can get with it is. And this pistol continues to give me consistent, good accuracy. Now, when I'm really focusing on the sights, this gun has the same problem that I have with many of the older Berettas. Because we have these fixed sights in the slide, I've always noticed that the dimensions of the front blade always seem to be a little bit too thin. And when you look at the notch from the rear, you have space on both sides of the post. And so you have a lot of variance when it comes to windage. I kind of like it when that front sight post fills up the whole gap. You don't have to worry about shooting to the left or to the right. I don't like having that type of variance. But as you saw from the results on the target, it doesn't seem to be bothering me too much. It's just what I noticed, but that's also one of the complaints I have about the older Berettas. All right, so most likely if you're buying this gun, you're going to use it for home defense or carry. And of course, we have to go back to the range and check and see if we have any issues when we run hollow points through this gun. Berettas typically run like tops, and because we have this open slide design, normally we don't have any failures to eject. So hopefully this gun is going to run just as well as a real Beretta. So let's go back to the range, put some hollow points through it, and just see what happens. And as you saw, as expected, we had no malfunctions and no issues. But once again, the slide closed on a full magazine. When we did the 25-yard test, the magazine was underloaded and we didn't have the same issue. So once again, tell me what you think the problem is. My gut's telling me it's something with the slide stop, but everything else about the gun is running well. So now the next test I want to do is a 3-in-1 test. Speaking of using this for self-defense, I want to, number one, see how fast I can pull this pretty darn light trigger. I also want to see how quickly I can change the magazine out and get the gun back in action. And of course, I want to know, is the gun point shootable? Because I always say you need to test a gun this way, because unless you're training with the gun all the time and you're an expert marksman, if you really have to defend your life, you might not have time to draw your weapon, get a good sight picture. All you can do is point the gun at the target you're intending to stop and pull that trigger, and hopefully you're going to hit the target. So I'm just going to point shoot this, shoot it as fast as I can, and change the magazine as quickly as I can. So let's go back to the range and see if I have any issues with any of these things. So let's break the results of this test down. Number one, can I pull this trigger fast? I think so. It's really good for a stock duty trigger. Can I change the magazine out quickly? Well, that's where we had some issues, and I have discovered that when it comes to dropping the magazine in this Derya Melik, you have to make sure you push that button all the way in, and the spring for the magazine release is very stout. So you just can't feather that and hope the magazine's going to pop out. You have to make sure you almost have to break your grip and push that magazine button in very positively all the way into the frame. So I actually found changing the magazine to be quite difficult. Now, let's talk about if the gun was point shootable. Yep, all those rounds were on target, and I wasn't even aiming. So the gun is naturally pointing for me. I've always felt like the older Beretta grips feel great in my hand. Now, because I'm aware of how this magazine release works now, I do want to try this test one more time. But this time, I'm just going to have 5 rounds in each magazine because I just want to see, can I change this magazine quicker now that I know what to expect? So let's go back to the range and try this test again. And now that I knew what to expect, I did a lot better, but I still felt like that magazine was stuck a little bit. It was a little bit slow to change. I really had to change my grip to depress that mag release. But that's something that I could get used to if I trained with this pistol more. So what are my final thoughts on the Derya Melik? Well, overall, this seems to be a pretty faithful clone of a Beretta 92. It seems to be well built. I see no problems with its construction, its machining, its finish. It seems to be accurate. I can shoot it relatively fast. It has a pretty good trigger in it without any modifications. I'd have to say the double action side might be a little bit heavier than what I would want, and the single action side is really light. We did have some slide stop issues and that magazine release issue, but that mag release issue is a very small one that I'm not too worried about. I am more concerned about the slide stop issue, but I'll have to do some more research into this gun. Maybe they did change that about the original Beretta design. I know some people really like it when pistols have the slide close on the insertion of a new magazine. So on my star system, how would I rate the Derya Melik? Well, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars. Overall, a pretty good review. I'm really happy with how it performed once the gun was loaded. But if I had to lock the slide open, insert a new magazine, well, we had issues. If I had to change the magazine out quickly, the mag kind of wants to stick a little bit if you don't push that button in all the way. But some of those issues I don't think are that big of a deal, but the slide stop issue for me is a big one. So I have to deduct some points for it, and I wanted to share with you all of my experiences. I don't sugarcoat anything to try to make the gun look better or worse than what I experienced at the range. So tell me in the comments section below, have you ever heard of this company Derya? Have you ever shot any of their firearms? And what do you think of the Turkish-made Beretta 92 clones? Do you like them? And do your experiences with them mirror mine? So, as always, thanks for watching.